Welcome in, everyone, to Barely Educated. We are here to talk about how bad the Bears are at football relative to their arch rivals, the Green Bay Packers, who basically had their way with them for the entire game. Do not let the one score 17-9 loss fool you. That was a total beatdown. Chris, how are you?
Oh boy, it stings. I thought it would be better. I thought the way the Bears defense had grown throughout the season and stepped up. Uh, and Getsy last week really called a nice game plan for Fields' strengths and seemed to get away from that again today. But no other way of saying that the Packers just beat their butts again. 5 years in a row have not beat Green Bay in 5 years, and
They've never
that's
beat Matt
starting
LaFleur.
to win me. Never beaten Matt LaFleur.
I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, uh,
The story of this game for me is the simple rivalry in a nutshell, right? That this is all right there for you, everyone. Don't be fooled. Don't be an idiot. Don't fall for this stupid defense has been so good. We got to keep the coach nonsense. They haven't played a quarterback, and then as soon as they did, he had 200 yards. The Packers are better at everything that
Everything.
matters for winning football. The QB is always better. The coach is way better, and they're way better on both lines of scrimmage at least today. And until you fix at
Yeah.
least two of those three, you're not going to consistently beat them, and then you're never going to win the division. You have to close this gap. And Matt Eberflus is not going to close this gap. He's not good enough in game. He can't out
Because
scheme anybody. LaFleur had guys wide open all game. Jordan Love throws with anticipation all game. They could have scored 30 easy. They had a fumble. They didn't bother trying to finish the last drive because they didn't need to. This game is not 17-9 kind of close game when you look at it with any real depth. Total yards 432 to 192.
Packers didn't punt, right? They didn't
Didn't
punt
punt.
today.
When's the last time a
Didn't
team
punt.
scored 17 points, turned it over only once, and didn't punt? Like what?
It's rare. That's pretty weird. But
Fields
I
threw
mean, that should
11
tell you enough.
passes. He threw 11 passes. The Bears ran the
Completions.
ball 25 times, which does include Fields running. Some of those are scrambles, some are designed, for 75 yards. What are we doing? What are we doing? Can we play 2023 football, or are we going to stay in 1985 for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
148 yards for Fields, 316 for Love. And I don't want to hear that he stinks. He's good. Get over
He
it.
is good.
Figure
He
out how
is
to
good.
actually get a good one yourself. And I'd start with firing the coach into the sun. I don't care what the defense did for a month. Give me a break. They beat nobody good. Ooh, we
That
beat
has to happen
Taylor
though, right?
Heineke. Wow, that's so impressive defense. I mean, yeah, the turnovers are fun. Defense came a long way. It doesn't matter though. There's no sustainability with that model because turnovers are mostly dumb luck. You don't really create them to the degree that all the coach speak suggests. Pass rush might, but if
Yes.
that's your model, you're going to be on a roller coaster and you're going to have 10 wins one year and 7 the next. And the teams with all the good coaches and good QBs are going to roll out 12-win seasons. And you're going to go get pantsed by them at some point in the playoffs in one of your random 10-win seasons. That's not good enough. Dare to be
And how many
great.
points? Yeah, yeah. How many points did the Panthers put in Green Bay?
Did what?
How many points did the Carolina Panthers put on Green
30.
Bay?
Wasn't it 33-30?
30. Yeah, yeah,
I know Bryce Young had over 300 yards, 2 TDs, no turnovers. He played a better game against Green Bay than our quarterbacks have played in the last 5 years.
yeah. It's
It's a joke, man.
is
This,
it
this
just
rivalry,
is it
this
just the
rivalry has been
coaching?
that for 3 years. I mean, it's a part of
Is
it.
it
Right? It's the part you can most clearly and easily change.
But why does Green Bay look like a Super Bowl contender when they play the Bears, but really anyone else? You know what I
Because the
mean? I mean
coach
that,
knows how to scheme against our coach. I don't know. I just know it's definitely part of it's in like the whole franchise's head. And as much
yeah,
as I'm riled up about it, I honestly don't care because I want everybody fired. I want a clean
right.
slate with people who know what they're doing and have done the
Yeah.
job before, ideally, and on the offensive side of the ball. Now, you add the two together, I'm asking a lot, but at least give me somebody who's going to call plays, who's called plays for a couple years. Quit with this rookie play caller stuff. Gee, what a shot! Getsy's terrible. Sorry, Is it Getsy or Getsky? I can't remember after that
It's
broadcast.
Getsky. According to the number one CBS analyst, it's Getsky. And I also like the touchdown that wasn't a touchdown, the ball in the leg. That Romo was like, "Oh yeah, that's a touchdown," and
They
then
got you
afterwards,
going
"Oh
on
yeah, well
Romo.
when you see the ball hit the floor, the ground here, yeah, then it's not a touchdown." Okay, I'm
I
done.
apologize,
Look at we're being
everyone.
trolled already. Look at this.
Go
We're
ahead.
being trolled
We should be
on
trolled.
our live stream here. Are you? Are we've never beaten Green Bay? You historians or something? Are you a
They
historian?
beat them in
Huh?
2018, and there was some random
With Mitch.
Thanksgiving where somebody picked off Rodgers and we won that game. Those are the two I remember.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah.
I go to church and like the Packer fans there, they see me and we start talking and blah blah. They're nice enough about it, but that's actually worse because they're like, Pat, 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 bless your little Bears fan heart. You're not gonna win today. You're never gonna win anything. It's like they don't need to trash talk. The fact that I'm a Bears fan talks all the trash needed. Like
Oh,
they're
that's
not
so
even
sad.
close. Everyone's like, "Oh, the defense, big strides." Yeah, played better than earlier in the year when they were like the worst defense for a year and a quarter in the league. Like,
Yeah.
guys, we gotta set the bar higher. Dare to be great. Quit settling for mediocrity at most. And if you keep this staff with this philosophy and this scared to throw the ball stuff, and this run all the time when you're not sometimes effective. Sometimes it works. That's great. Keep doing it. Right, but like 3 yards of carry, this is not the game to run 25 times. I know they can't pass pro today either because they can't block the Packers for some reason,
Yeah. Tevin
and it's a
Jenkins.
rock and a
Ooh.
hard place. But man, there is no championship ceiling with this regime, the coaches.
No.
It's just not. It's 10 wins is the ceiling. Ooh, wow, impressive.
Yeah.
But
All
you
right. So
saw
you want?
Pole's comments before the game.
I did not.
Mm. I'll look
What
it
did
up
he
while
say?
you bring up what you were going to bring up.
I was just gonna say, let's talk about what today meant, big picture, or what it should mean.
Yeah, I don't really
Um,
have much else to say about the game, right? Like nobody stood out as like, yeah, they were good. That was surprising, or a young player had a great game. We better shout out. I mean,
Tyreek Stevenson. I mean, he did force the fumble. The one fumble.
Tyreek
Love.
still
And
has
Love was
had
holding
a
it
really
goofy
nice
though. He
year. I
is.
mean, there are good pieces. I do think Poles is doing a fine job building the roster.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like the ceiling continues to elevate. But if he keeps the coach, he just put a cap on it. So here's
If
what
he
he said
coach. Okay. All right. Hit me.
on ESPN 1000, and then it was like all over. I'm going to try to find it in a couple places about Coach Flus. He was steady at the wheel, incredible. He got better. How's that feel, Chris?
He got. Well, I mean, that's true a little bit. So I don't know. I'm trying to give Poles the benefit of the doubt here that he's trying to say true things without playing his hand.
That's
Or am
true. I
I
hope that's all it
wishful
is, right?
thinking?
Like there is a world
Yeah.
where that's all it is. But every time he has the chance, he praises Flus in I think it goes a little bit above and beyond generic. I have my coach's back. Right? Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
You don't have to call him incredible.
Yeah.
You can just say, we're glad that we kept this thing together. We did not, we improved our win total, whatever. But it's like it's always like this effusive praise. But he's also really good at the whole game, right? Like he played the game
He
really well
is.
with the number one pick last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, maybe that's all it is. Maybe Warren goes down there and be like, "Yeah, I don't care what you think. He's fired. If you want to keep him, so are you." Or maybe Virginia busts out the cane. We'll bust out the cane joke and goes cracking skulls.
That'd be nice. They'll just be
Wouldn't that be great
101
if
and
for
still
once the,
kicking
the,
butt.
the McCaskey emotional overreaction to a Green Bay game led to something we wanted?
Yeah, that would be ironic and welcome. I mean, uh, I,
Okay, here we go. Here's the fuller answer from polls.
okay.
On the job Matt Eberflus has done in 2023 to keep the Bears together after a 2-7 start, which for some reason we don't need to count the 2-7 against him. Like this is already dumb. You can go back to the original press conference and things I was looking for. One is leadership. Literally every coach should be able to provide that. And the mental toughness and the steady hand to really captain the ship when the seas are rough. and they got rough at certain times. Can I just interrupt for a second, Ryan? They got
Mm-hmm.
rough because of his own pathetic coaching on the games where we blow the big leads. Rough in other ways because of deliberately tearing down the roster, which you can't really pin on Flus. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
certainly last year, early this year, there was some sudden change, and he was steady at the wheel. We are really running the sailor metaphor here. He fought to get back above water and get things where
Wow.
they were. His ability to adapt and adjust, really take input from the players. Okay, that's the one thing I like. I do like that he was getting input from the players. To get
Yeah.
this thing on the right path was incredible. Path, I thought we were at sea, where I think a lot of people would have been in really bad shape and crumbled to the pressure. He got better with the pressure, and so did our football team.
Technically correct. That's what I'm saying. He's not saying anything that's not true. And none of that is something
I
that
mean,
would
the
prevent
offense
him
didn't adjust at
from.
all and get better.
I mean, in the season, in throughout the season, at times it did. But again, I'm trying to look at this from a perspective that Poles can say positive things, but still tomorrow say, "I got to make a change." But maybe he's not. But he has to, right? It's obvious. It's right there. 0-4 against the Packers, and they look the worst against the Packers. You can't even think Super Bowl if you can't be the best in the division, right? You don't want
Yeah,
to
I
play
mean
it. Well,
that's
maybe we
definitely a
can.
big part of the problem.
You know, that's my point. That's what I'm looking for a way that polls can be saying stuff that's true of Hebrews, but without. I'm not hearing anything that would prevent him from tomorrow saying we had to make a change. Just didn't win enough. Need to get to the next level. Thank you, Eberflus, for getting us to this base level, and now we're gonna, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, I don't know if I want to get my hopes up to that degree because
Okay.
what? So you think he'll come out Monday or Tuesday or something and say, we did some good things this year, but ultimately we didn't win enough, and we still aren't playing well enough against the division, or some veiled reference to the Green Bay situation. Because it seems
Yeah,
like
but
he'd
it's not.
be relatively hypocritical to just go and fire him after all, after those comments. Which I would love for him to go ahead and be hypocritical.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There, so is it possible to keep Eberflus? Say we need a new offensive coordinator to groom the quarterback we're gonna draft with the first overall pick, and then have to scramble to find a new coordinator. Once that coordinator does a good job, it gets poached for a head coaching job.
Well, that's the nightmare scenario of Bears stupidity, and the cycle continues. That's what we live all the time. We did it to Mitch, we did it
But
to Fields, and we're going to do it to whoever else. That's the last thing I
but
want, actually.
but that's supposed to be where Kevin Warren jumps in, and
I
maybe
hope.
maybe he does. Maybe Poles does want to keep Eberflus, and it's going to have to be Kevin Warren to say, we're not doing this.
I mean, Warren
I mean, it's
said
it's
this
obvious.
weekend, right, that they were going to be. I don't know how he worded it. I can't remember anymore. But like they were going to go through a full process of evaluating everything, essentially. Yeah, I mean, Poles should probably just like deflect even more than he did. I mean, yes, it's possible that he's just giving the company answer with one game to go. But I wish there was more smoke about Flus gone and not just from the fans. Everything is fans. It's us. It's people like us. It's not Johns and Courtney Cronin and Rappaport, right?
Rappaport.
It's those guys
Yeah.
and ladies are all saying they think he's back. And it gets mixed up, right? Like they say what they think, and then people take it like it's a report, and it's all just opinion still. But I wish there was more believable smoke than just the fans. Although the fans are hysterical because, like mid game, somebody put the poll out, and it was like 91% of people wanted him fired.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Seize the emotion. This is the only time I'm ever going to say this. Do it, Bears.
Hey, we
Get
got
mad and emotional, and get a real coach in here who knows how to groom a quarterback and build an offense.
interesting comment here from Reese Poofs. Reese Poofs.
Buddy Brian.
Buddy Reese Poofs.
That's Buddy Brian.
uh, I know. Yeah, that's why I said Buddy Reese Poofs. We're saying last summer good to great, and Packers coaching is significantly better than Bears coaching. Exclude the two Bears Packers games, and the Bears have the same record this season. Fire coaches to the moon. Couldn't agree more. Fire them to the moon.
I think
But
he's
I
being
mean,
sarcastic. What are
but
you
I
doing, Brian?
test.
Knock it off.
No,
They
but
didn't beat anybody but Goff in the cold. That's it. They have one signature win.
I think I thought he was being serious about the fact that the Packers are just so much better than the Bears, regardless of the
Are you
record.
saying the gap
That's
isn't that small if they would get the coach right? I would agree.
correct. Correct. That's what I thought. Yeah,
Which is why he needs to be.
he does.
He
I've
does, because he
never
stinks at
backed away
coaching
from
in
that.
the game. Oh, but during the week. Wow, that's
Hmm.
great.
They said the same
Can
thing
you
about John
think of this
Fox.
in the context of your world too for just a second? Just bear with me. Imagine being
Sure.
like that lecture. I just cannot talk and my lectures are terrible, but I really nailed it with the prep this week. Look at the pretty pictures. Or you get up there to do a concert or something and you're like, I wrote a great composing piece or whatever, and I'm sorry I can't actually perform. That's the equivalent.
Yeah.
Like imagine a job where you could be like, you have a major event every so often and you're terrible at the event but you're good at the rest and
Hmm.
they're like, "Well, we like him." I mean, come on.
Hmm. If I, as a band director, went to my superiors after a bad concert and said, I picked good music. I gave him good music. They just to execute.
We
You know
practiced great all week.
that. Yeah, my job is going to be short. So, yeah, maybe so much shouldn't have written on this one game, but to me, so much had to write on this game just because of the history, the fact that it's their young quarterback on his, starting out his run, which, geez, looks like, another good one. He doesn't look Hall of Fame to me, at least not yet, but he does look good. See, floor good.
Yeah,
So
I
he
like
dug out of a he and his coach dug out of a rough spot in the middle of the season. Man,
yeah,
he looked bad for several weeks, but they
and he looks great at the end of the
crawled
year.
out of it.
4,030
That looks great.
TDs, only like 11 picks or something. Don't know his fumbles, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I said it already, just dare to be great. Please stop settling. And keeping this guy is clearly settling.
Yeah.
And I know the players liked him and they played hard and all this stuff, but it doesn't matter when the scheme doesn't work. And he's still responsible for the coaching staff he put together, which has a terrible OC, a DC, and a running back coach that HR had to fire. Where's the accountability there? I mean, really, it may
I
be unfair, but like he hasn't demonstrated he's any good except for calling games against bad QBs and some of the defensive young guys that develop, which is important, definitely. But there's
yeah,
still like
yeah.
six other boxes he's not checking as a head coach.
Important ones, major ones. Yeah. Um, Shugo's not quite my tempo. Shugo
Yeah.
said. Nice reference to what's the jazz drummer. What's that movie? Ugh. Anyway, it's a
So
good reference, Shugo. I got you. Can we talk about the quarterback?
yeah, we should.
That was it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Unless Ryan Poles has lost his mind. It, look, Justin just isn't good enough at the passing side of all of this, which is the most important part. It stinks, but it's true. Yeah, they stunk for him today. I mean, the line was horrible. But
Yeah.
this was a game he could have proved that he can elevate when it's not ideal.
Yeah.
It's just all too slow still. There's the one sack where the drop back looked like he was wearing cinder blocks again. And I'm like, why does the fastest quarterback in the league, or well, him and Lamar, whatever, look like he's walking through quicksand on his dropbacks like half the time? There were plays where I wonder if he could have thrown it or not. And some of the replays kind of made it look like guys were covered. Sometimes it didn't. You need the L22 as always to really. The broadcasts are never good for that.
Right.
But there's still just too many plays where you're like, and we're done here. And he
Yeah.
makes good throws. It's not about the throws.
Right.
It's
Yes.
about the ones he doesn't make. It's about the what he's
Hmm.
seeing or not seeing. And then Jordan Love's like, let me just throw with anticipation, and you'll run for like a full second to get under it and catch it for a touchdown.
I don't know how that happens so consistently with him, unless he's just got um, great anticipation, and maybe he does. But
That difference between the two of them was jarring today.
you know,
And it's
I
not
mean,
just the
after a
team
while,
around him. Like Fields has like Moore's better than anyone on Green Bay. They have a decent young receiving
Whiplash.
core, though.
That's the movie. Thank you, Shugo. It's Whiplash. That's the
Man of culture over there, Shugo. Unlike former
Yes, thank you.
student Tim with all his sass. No, he doesn't deserve that.
I'm sorry.
Stop.
I interrupted you. Yeah. Oh,
No,
please continue.
it's just Justin's done as the Bears QB. Come on, they have the #1 pick, and his passing productivity is bad. Like, we gotta quit dressing it up and like finding all these excuses. The context and the data have changed. Last year, the context was, holy cow, he's got nothing to work with. New offense. The receivers were absolutely terrible, worst in the league. The O line still stunk. It would have been unfair to judge him just on that year. That's why this year was so important. And why from the
Yeah.
jump, from the preseason versus the Bills, I have been worried. Because he was not throwing it in that game, and he did not recognize a linebacker on a receiver. Somewhat funnily, or ironically,
Mm-hmm.
he did recognize that today. Got the ball to Moore on that play, coming across the middle. But by and large, it just isn't coming together quickly enough when you're sitting there with the #1 pick.
Yeah. So we got an off season to discuss who that's going to be, or
As Buddy
you know,
Bryant points out,
uh,
those in the wicked quick throws are what I notice on the Williams tape. And I likely notice it more because I'm used to watching Fields. Sorry, Fields, we love you. Yep, I agree completely. Everyone talks about Williams and his off scripts, Mahomes ish stuff. That's not his best trait. His best trait is his lightning quick release. He's not
yeah,
a perfect player or
which
generational or all these things that get kind of overstated, but he's a really good QB prospect. And at this point, I'm almost positive that's the route they're going to go, is drafting a quarterback. I don't know which one yet. I think too much homework to be done on the interviews and all those kind of things, and they'll do their due
mm-hmm.
diligence. But I'd be pretty stunned if Fields was back.
Yeah, it's without team negligence.
Yeah,
uh,
well,
is,
they're certainly capable of that.
which they are certainly capable of that. Unfortunately, um, yeah. Is there anyone that you felt like give some laurels to today, or was that just a big
They could have been playing
crap
the
fest
Bucks
of a game that
or
there's no
the
one?
Lions. It wouldn't have mattered. The way they played that game was really embarrassing, and the score is very misleading. I don't really have anyone to give much laurels to. DJ had a good game as usual. The few times he's targeted. Stevenson forced
Yeah,
a fumble.
yeah,
Um, playing without Jalen, I think showed a little bit, but it's just not. That doesn't excuse how many guys are running free. I think the most disappointing part of this game was either line of scrimmage, right? They just got whooped. You're never going to win that.
yeah.
A game where your
Both
lines play that
sides.
bad. Both sides got trounced, as they always do against Green Bay, no matter what the combo of players is. And then I was very disappointed in the bad zones being back on the table more often than not. Which, again,
Yeah,
if he's going to keep reverting to that, then I want nothing to do with him as the head coach down the road. It's,
yeah.
it's just not a high enough ceiling.
That's another thing between the two quarterbacks. Justin cannot process a zone, and Love can pick it apart. So far, I
Yeah,
mean that was glaringly obvious today. Again,
it
because they
is. I
didn't
mean, even the
punt.
Atlanta game, which we all had a lot of fun with, was a team playing 90% man once the film reviews came in. Yeah, he kills
Mm-hmm.
man, just like Mitch killed man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reese
That.
poofs again. Williams 100% should be the choice, in other words, after his Virginia birthday retweet. That's some
Yeah, that
epic
was there.
Twitter trolling by Williams. That's hilarious, too. That's
That was
great.
there. Hmm.
See,
Hmm.
I don't hate the
Yeah.
Bears.
And he's not gonna. I don't buy any of that. He's only gonna play for 5 teams. That's a
Oh
rumor.
no,
I
that,
don't.
that's already dead. And look, as much as we're dumping all over the Bears for this performance, and we are trying to dial back the effusive praise for a 7-10 season with one good team defeated, they are, by the fact that they have 7 wins, not your typical #1 picking team. So
Mm-hmm.
Williams will be going to a better situation than the usual, i.e., the Bryce Young situation, because there is
Oh,
more
poor
talent. There's
Bryce
not
Young.
enough, but there is more than your typical
Mm-hmm.
first team in the draft. And I just think you just can't run this back if you're an organization that's at all serious about winning a championship. And I suppose that's the rub, right? Maybe they aren't.
I would hate to think that, but
I don't
but if
even
that
know.
is but if that is your goal, you can't run it back next year. You can't. If you're looking, we got to win Super Bowls, then yeah. So
Whenever it matters, they still can't pass. Whenever it matters, they still can't score. Not with any consistency. Like we can hem and haw about who needs to be better where and what player could be changed, and obviously you need a center and a wide receiver too, and that's all fodder for the offseason conversation. But at the end of the day, they continue to not be any good at the forward pass. So how do I fix that? I get a coach in who knows a lot more about the forward pass. And I probably have to get a QB who has the potential to be considerably better at the forward pass. It's just true. I'm sorry if it's harsh. It's just true. Just watch these games. Too many of them look like this one. You get like 2 of these a year, not 10.
yeah.
All right, read the one you just highlighted.
Okay, yeah. This is D Standish 80. Former
D
student of mine.
Stanich
Former
87.
student David. Former student David.
Oh, we know them. Okay, cool.
Trade the number
Go
one
ahead.
pick. Get as much as you can for it. Build a roster to have a competitive team. Keep Fields for the duration of his contract. See if he can perform better with more talent. Oh, if Fields still isn't improved, leverage the picks to trade up. Go.
No, he's your former student. You go first.
um. Yeah, I get that philosophy, and that's where I was a couple weeks ago. Um, he just, I really needed to see him be much better today to know to feel good about going forward with him. It was his last game as a Bear. It was his uh, beat Green Bay, knocked them out of the playoffs at their stadium, and just wasn't there.
I'm
Wasn't there.
pretty sure he.
11 for. I'm looking at his
Yeah,
stats right
they're
now.
rough.
11 of 16, 148 yards, no touchdowns, and only 40 the rushing yards. He had 27 rushing and 8 attempts. So barely like three something. They were waiting for him to run. The Packers dared the Bears to throw the ball. There were like 8 guys in the box
Yeah,
all
and they kept
game.
running, which tells you
Like,
what the
go ahead,
coaches
throw it.
think.
Yep, go ahead, throw it. So and they could. It seems obvious to me that was the defensive strategy for Green Bay was stop the run, beat us with your arm, Justin, and he couldn't do it. And
So
not against a great defense either. What are they like, 15 or 16 total team defense? It wasn't like a. He played better against better defenses, but just
yeah, I
not
mean the
today. And
blocking was so bad today it felt like a last year game. But here's the thing,
yeah,
and I'm trying to be reasonable in a otherwise we're pretty frustrated pod tonight. But um, when you look at the total body of work, Justin has some of the worst stats you will ever see in terms of fourth quarter, third down. When it's time to pass, it's
that's
ugly.
a
It's
big yeah.
really really ugly. And
I agree.
trying to be optimistic, like I said last week, the one nice thing we have here is the Bears do have two good pathways. I think one is way better than the
Mm-hmm.
other, but we're not in the situation we're used to where there is no path to a quarterback. Okay, so that is
Yeah.
the good news. You can make a case for trading the number one pick. I wouldn't do it for a bunch of reasons. First of all, and this almost never gets mentioned, but cousin Nate brought it up to me the other day.
Thank you, cousin Nick.
And yes, you can say this about the QB as well, which people always do. But everyone acts like if they just trade the picks, all those picks that they make will automatically be good. There's
Right.
risk always. The draft
Correct.
is not a
Yeah.
clean process, or the teams would be way better at it, right? So like it doesn't just immediately mean, oh, then now the team is better around him. They could miss on those picks too. So that's part of it. The main thing though is this, and I'm going to read this off of Michael Gus's in-game thread. It's not to
Okay.
say that you couldn't build Michael Gus on Twitter. Build such a strong situation around Justin that you could win with him. Again, he can do everything you want at a high level, but struggles with consistency and schematic range. That's a great way to put that. Doing so, and here's my key point for this, is team building on hard mode. It would be reliant on nailing many other key decisions with almost no margin for error. Having the right QB makes this whole thing a whole lot easier. It allows you a healthy margin of error in other places. It will also wildly swing upside in projections for your whole operation overnight. And I'll add this, You also get to reset the clock on the contract and the years. You have to do this because Fields is also out of time, which is why it was so awful that you kept the lame ducks. It all comes back to process. I don't care if you're tired of hearing it. Get the process right because you can control that.
Yeah. If we're for firing, this is Buddy Bryan. If we're for firing the coaches, doesn't that suggest it's more ideal to take the risk and draft a QB?
Yes, because you're
Yes,
syncing up the timeline. Exactly.
which they've never done. I think that the last time the coach, GM, and quarterback were aligned was Brett Kramer, Dave Wanstead, 1995. I think that's what I heard in the. That's a long time. None
Yeah,
of
I
these
mean, I think
players
you got
were
to keep
alive
swinging
back
until
then.
you get the QB. You can't be afraid of it just because it hasn't happened.
Hmm.
That's how we end up stuck in 1985 still.
Yeah.
If we're still debating Fields after 3 years, that is our answer. We just don't want to admit it.
Mhm.
Again, I have like 5 Fields shirts. There's like a hoodie, there's a
Yeah.
jersey or two, there's a couple T-shirts. It's like I don't hate Fields. I just don't think when you have the number one pick, that 3 years of production has been good enough to not go QB with that pick.
Yeah.
Will I
And
be
again,
excited and talk myself into it if they trade down with the Pats and pick Marvin Harrison Jr. and get some? Yeah, that's a good scenario too. I just think it's better to try for the quarterback at the home run hit.
not not with this coaching staff though.
But they got to be
I
gone.
I don't want to see this coaching staff around, and
Yeah, I
I
agree. I've
think the
said for the
only
last month at least that the worst scenario is keep Flus, scapegoat Fields, and pick a QB, and then do the whole lame duck thing again. So the whole thing has to be start with the coach fired.
mm-hmm, yep. And today went a long way to ensuring that. I think.
Guess we'll find
Yeah,
out. When do you think
defensive
we'd know?
tomorrow. Tomorrow's Black Monday.
Okay.
If there's a change, it'll happen tomorrow. I can't imagine it would. Teams want to move on pretty quick from stuff like this,
Hey, remember how
unless
we all
there's a
called
coach.
Mitch a bum slayer?
Yeah,
Y'all called Mitch a bum slayer. Isn't that what Flus is too? At this point.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I gotta. I want to point out too that that's what Lovey had become by the end of his tenure. People say, "Oh, you fired him when he was 10-6." Yeah, but he couldn't beat Aaron Rodgers anymore either. So I
He's still the
understood
best coach in my
that.
lifetime, but yeah, by then it was
Absolutely.
understandable decision. But again, the problem there is what did they do in terms of the GM and the coach?
Yeah.
All out of sync
And the
again.
QB.
What did the GM inherit? A QB too. Like they just don't refuse to do the full change. The
Yeah.
GM is allowed to pick a coach, but you do not saddle the coach with the GM. Like, what are we doing? Oh,
Yeah.
it's also backwards all the time. And then the Cutler and Emery stuff, and then he gives me extension, and it's just this is a pretty good chance to sync it up with a GM who seems to know what he's doing in many respects.
Yes.
Sorry, my kids
Remember
are
where I came from.
getting antsy.
No, you should bring him on air sometime.
We could.
Yeah.
My poor
Remember
kids,
where I
they're
came from.
trying,
That's
man.
what.
We go to church and people talk to me like I said, and the kids pastor, she's great, but she's a Packers fan, so that's a hit. She starts talking to me about the Packers, and McKenna runs up and starts booing her.
Beautiful. Isn't it right, my friend? Shugo said, hit on the QB, the thing no one has figured out how to do. Hard mode in a different way, in my opinion. Yeah, there's no
I mean,
there's
it's
no
all hard to
guarantees,
do.
but you gotta try. You gotta try.
It again, the opportunity. You're not going to always get this opportunity. It was an all-timer trade last year
Mm-hmm.
with at
Yeah,
least two
that's not.
prospects that all the prospect draft nerds love. I'm
Yeah,
not saying they're
yeah,
always right, but like Dane Brugler's like, it's Andrew Luck. And since he's been doing it at the top, and then it's like a three-way tie with Williams, Lawrence, and Burrow. You're like, that's a pretty good company to keep. Although Lawrence had a lot of trouble this year, he was really good at the second half last year. But yeah, I get what you're saying though, Shugo. You're not saying to stop swinging. It's just
yeah.
where do you get the QB if you don't? Right? You're gonna wait and then trade up, and then you lose assets, and you're gonna pick one in the second round. Everyone keeps saying that on Twitter, and it's like Jalen Hurts is like the only QB in the second round. Him and Carr. Oh, Dak was fourth round. Yeah, that's like the only one in the whole league that's good right now.
And Dak and
I
Dak's
mean,
good.
sometimes you get flukishly lucky with a
He's
guy. I
not.
get it. Yeah, you should keep swinging
Uh
there
huh.
too, by all means. Cousins as well, right? But it's
Yep.
still more likely you're going to hit the higher the pick. It's just logic. It's not a
Yep.
shoo-in.
Uh, Shugo also said, Mark, I expect you to berate Chris when it's announced Flusen gets to get contract extensions. Why am I in trouble if they get contract extensions?
I don't know, but
did I jinx it?
if
Did I
Gretzky
put a
gets a
little juju, bad juju?
contract extension, it's all your
Gretzky,
fault, my friend. Gosh, can you
CBS number
Twitter
one
will be
analyst.
on fire if they keep Getsy too.
Oh my gosh!
Because like that's
And
the thing
draft.
everyone's united about. There's fights over Flus. There's a lot of fighting about
Mm-hmm.
Fields. There's no one really taking Getsy's case.
Yeah,
Can't believe Chris
Brian.
re-signed those.
Why am I? I'm saying get rid of him. What am I getting in trouble for? Come on, it's not fair.
Because you're jinxing it. Just don't put any money on it,
I
okay?
get.
Just stay away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't put stock in one game. But to me, there was so much riding on this game with Green Bay. It's the last game of the season when they embarrassed you in one of the season. Yeah, the team gotten better. The defense did the defense look better from week one today?
The defense is confusing because they got all those turnovers. Young guys have stepped up. Montez Sweat has made a difference, and they still haven't beaten a quarterback who's playing well at the time that they played him.
Apparently,
I
according
agree,
to
Shugo. That's my point. He says there's too much confidence they'll do the right thing and fire them. That's my point. I'm very worried they won't. And the
I do.
comments are hard to read as anything but a vote of confidence, but sometimes those are also a kiss of death. Sorry, I interrupted you to read that one.
Please be the keys to death.
Sorry, pod's over. Chris just got struck dead.
No, we have an understanding that.
If he couldn't take a
I'm not
joke,
the
he'd have been
best.
dead a long time ago, right?
That's right. The Almighty has a sense of humor, my friend.
If only he was a Bears fan.
Well, he must be. He's all suffering to improve your character and
No, I can't do the enlightenment thing again.
empathy. And
If they keep the coach, it's dead. I quit. It's the meatball composer again.
All right, yeah, that'll be. Yeah. They're not. They're not right because they can't. They
They
can't.
absolutely can.
Not
Shane
with
Reardon, Brian
Kevin.
wants to end him anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what I did to Shane Reardon on the score, other than that was
That was
he's just
weird.
sticking up for his buddy Mark Grody. I don't know, but yeah, living rent free in Shane Reardon's head is pretty cool, I guess. So, I don't know what else you got. I said pretty much everything.
No, I think we can
Although,
just see what happens by Tuesday. Maybe there's a reason to record again, and then definitely do something in advance of the playoff weekend.
sounds good. I'll be shocked if there aren't major changes tomorrow.
What's major?
I will be.
The OC is not enough,
Flus,
but I think that's almost a given.
Flus, I think he's gone. I think Eberflus is gone.
Okay.
Because
the cards are
he's
on the
got
table. Love the optimism, sort of. Sometimes it's scary.
He's gotten in. He's
Did you
gotten
think
those
so after the Atlanta
endorsements
game?
from polls. I was less sure. And then when Rappaport said what he did, but again, there's just too much on the negative side of the ledger.
Can we also mention this real quick? I do need to go soon, but this is another thing Michael Gus brought up. The defense has gotten better. Well, they spent like $100 million and a bajillion draft picks on the defense. I think Flus is probably Norv Turnered, right? He's a coordinator who's been over promoted. Yeah. And he'll probably go be a good DC for somebody. And I think he's a calming, steadying force. And like I said the other day, he's probably at the top of the list of head coaches I'd actually let babysit my children, because most of them seem like weirdos and he seems like actually kind of normal. But the defense should be ascending anyway because of the investment in it. Now it's time to do the offense. And I know we had more and I know we had right, but we need to fully invest in the rest of it. So I don't know how much credit you can really give him when the GM gave him a bunch of stuff on the defense. Mm-hmm. Almost all the second round picks, right? Yeah, all the second round picks have been defense. Yeah. The 2 linebackers signed.
Solid.
And the big trade, another second spent on defense in the Sweat trade. Great move. Not knocking it, but the defense should have ascended anyway. Yeah. I just don't think that's that much of a feather in his cap when you actually think about it more.
Yeah, I agree. Today, the fact that today looked like week one, I can't shake that. And Bulls or Kevin Warren can't shake that either. That today
George
looks
can't
no
shake it. Here we
different.
go. Changing the structure already.
Please, come on, George. Let your meatball powers be used for good.
That's very full circle for the origin of this pod for us to be asking George to meatball his way through the decision.
Yeah.
All
That
right, I
might be
gotta
our
go.
only hope. Yeah.
I
All
gotta
right, thanks,
go.
man.
Go
And
Bills.
thank you, thank you, everyone, for checking in and listening. Oh, this has been not the season we expected, but we'll see what happens starting tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm right. We'll see. But yeah, we'll check in
Hopefully.
later this week once we've got something new to talk about and
Hold
to
on.
take a
I
look at
have
the
never more wanted you to be right. Does
Bulls.
that help? I've never
That
been.
does.
This is as happy as I could be of you being right. You got your
Three
two
years in
linebackers.
and three 3 years in, and you finally want me to be right about something. I'm touched. Thank you. All right. We will talk to you all later this week when there's more stuff to talk about. All right. Thanks. Later.